Thank you, Kevin, for that rousing call to arms. Because what Kevin represents, what McLaughlin represents, what those young apprentices that I've met this morning represent is the future of Britain, and we need to rebuild Britain. So I want to thank all of you for coming to Enfield today. And Kevin, your support for what Reform is announcing today is really meaningful, because for so long, Westminster has ignored places like this, companies like Kevin's, and apprentices like those who have worked here. People like Kevin and his business represent a different Britain, a Britain hidden from the media and the political class, a better Britain. And it's a window into a world that we can be. And it was important for me to be here today to show what Reform represents and who we as a party are for. We are for the workers. We are for those people who wake up early every morning and graft their socks off all day and get home late at night. We're for that young, hungry, ambitious person who may have got their GCSE results today and has big dreams. We're for those who want to move forward, who want to earn, who want to learn, who want to rebuild our great country. We're for the self-starters, the risk-takers, and those who are not content to sit back and slip into dependency. We're for those who want to get out there and make a living. We're for those who want to take responsibility. They take pride in their craft and in their skill. That's who Reform is for, and that's why we are here today. Kevin, as he said, left school with no O-levels, but he did something amazing. He became an apprentice. And from that decision back then, he is now employing over 70 people, running his own successful business, which has worked on major projects, including the Olympics and other big commercial developments right across the country. His business represents more of what we need in the UK: construction workers, surveyors, painters and decorators like those we've met today, powered by the energy of young apprentices who are gaining skills, who are earning a wage, and who are setting themselves up for life in a thriving sector which presents them with huge opportunity to progress. And that is why Britain needs apprentices. Firstly, we have a NEETs crisis. There are over 1 million young people who are not in education, who are not in employment, and who are not in training. That's 1 million young people not earning and not learning. It's a travesty and, quite frankly, a betrayal of the next generation. Today, about a third of those young people getting their GCSE results will have failed to pass English or maths. That's about 200,000. And that data, and the data also shows that those children who fail Key Stage 2 are more likely to end up on benefits. That costs the taxpayer £8 billion a year. We can't go on like that. Secondly, we've got too many young people who are failing in our universities because they're falling for the great university scam, signing up to £50,000 worth of debt, possibly the largest financial commitment they will have ever made in their lives at 18. For what? To study pointless subjects at mediocre universities. I've lost count of the number of businesses who tell me graduates come to them and they don't even know how to turn on the photocopier or work the kettle. The Blairite obsession with sending 50% of our young people into universities has left a generation of young people trapped by debt because they were funneled through a system that prizes university over skills. And it's left our labour market depleted and reliant on cheap foreign labour. The British taxpayer has been out of pocket to the tune of hundreds of billions of pounds worth of student debt that will have to be written off. Too many of our universities have become more interested in indoctrinating DEI than actually producing graduates who are ready for the workplace. So we also have an excessive number of graduates with qualifications that don't match the skills needed for our country. That's reflected by the number 700,000. 700,000 of our graduates are unemployed today. 400,000 of them are on welfare. For many, university just isn't worth it anymore. And thirdly, we have a severe labour market shortage in our economy. Construction, manufacturing, utilities, health and social care, they all need hundreds of thousands of people. Manufacturing apprentices are down 40%. Painting and decorating are down 60%. Health and social care starts for new apprentices are down 75%. The National House Building Confederation says that construction will need 900,000 workers to build and deliver the major house building programmes that are in the pipeline. Successive governments have instead relied on cheap foreign labour to plug these gaps, contributing to our immigration crisis. Now, as you know, as Home Secretary, I tried valiantly to restrict and lower the number of work visas, but I wasn't successful in persuading my Conservative colleagues to do that when it was the right time. That's why today we are rebalancing the scales and we are firing the starting gun on unleashing a technical and vocational renaissance of homegrown skills. Reform will not do this because it fills us with some jingoistic pride, but because we will do what it takes to save Britain from the perpetual doom loop of decline, debt and despair that we are currently in. Britain used to be a nation that built things, that made things. We used to be a nation of inventors, whether it's ships, shoes, trains, textiles, cars. We have a proud technical and vocational heritage. The Industrial Revolution itself was powered by apprenticeships. Josiah Wedgwood, who led the potteries, Matthew Murray, who designed Salamanca, the first steam locomotive, George Stephenson, the father of our railways, Richard Tice, the godfather of our building renaissance, were all apprentices. Even Brunel, after he went to university, was mostly trained as an apprentice to his father. So we've got that tradition, we've got that DNA, but we haven't tapped into it. Masters and apprentices working together with young workers, learning a job and developing their skills at the same time. Ordinary people, teaching ordinary people a trade to make them spectacular, hand to hand, generation to generation, and Britain was better for it. Our apprentices helped build the modern world. They turned us from a nation of farmland into the workshop of the world. Horrifyingly, however, over successive decades and by consecutive governments, that proud heritage has been obliterated. Almost 40% of young people head to university and just 1% into technical education. So, the Britain that Reform UK wants to build, that alternative Britain, is now no more than a foggy memory, and some of us are unsure whether it really existed. Because today, the British families who made our country great are the most disadvantaged in society. White British children are now the most likely group to not even enter GCSE exams. White working class boys are the group with the worst educational outcomes. This two-tier system of unfairness running throughout our educational system is deeply unfair and a grotesque waste of human talent. So, that is why we are announcing today the Apprenticeships Wage Credit. And this is going to build our skills revolution. We've morphed from a rich nation that made and did things into a poor nation that with faceless corporates and shiny glass offices. We need a revolution. So our Apprenticeships Wage Credit will offer a wage credit of worth 30% to every small or medium-sized business that hires a new young apprentice. This will save the average business over £8,000 on the cost of employing a young apprentice. It is a 30% cut for businesses taking on an apprentice. It's a significant amount. It's over £4,000 a year. Why not 5? Why not 10? Why not 20? Because we realise that to completely revamp the mindset of this country into the skills revolution that we need, the government will lead from the front. That is why we will reimburse each business 30% of the wages when they take on a young apprentice. In doing so, a reform government is investing 30% into each young person's success. We're saying to young people, if you want to work in a trade or a vocation that benefits the UK economy, if you want to avoid the rip-off degrees, then we will back you. We want a stake in your future, and we support you. Because I no longer want to live in a Britain that looks down on plumbers and carpenters and painters and decorators or care workers. I want them to be celebrated like they are in other countries. To those young apprentices that I've met today with Richard, I want to applaud you and salute you. You're role models. You're earning, you're learning, you're moving forward with your lives, and you're taking responsibility. There's no limit to what you can achieve with your work ethic and energy, and you represent what the best is of this country. Get yourself a trade, earn hundreds of pounds a day for yourself, move forward, maybe start a business in the future. That's what we want to see, a high-skilled British workforce taking pride in their work, not wasting their life chasing pointless degrees and getting crippled by debt. And when you think reform might be finished and that we haven't, that we've stopped, well, we haven't, and we will go even further. Many SMEs are hesitant about taking on an apprentice because they're nervous about the risk. They're nervous that when they pay the wage and they spend the time, many of them will just leave. So not only will we invest a 30% stake in a young apprentice's wages at the beginning of their training, but we will also introduce an apprenticeships retention bonus. Alongside the cut of hiring an apprentice, cutting the cost of employing an apprentice by £8,000 will give apprentices themselves a retention bonus. £2,000 to apprentices who show loyalty and stay with the business that trained them for at least 2 years after they complete their apprenticeship. Young people starting their careers will be incentivised to stay with a direct cash bonus, tax-free, paid straight into their bank account. The bonus demonstrates that we are serious about backing good, responsible SMEs, small and medium-sized enterprises, employers who want to invest in young British talent. It shows that if we are to generate the skills revolution that we need, Reform UK will back young people right at the start of their careers. Combined, this is over £10,000 that a Reform UK government is willing to put into each apprentice at the start of their working lives. So my advice to those young people today getting their results, my advice to those grandparents and those parents looking at the young people in their families who may be getting their results today, be careful. Don't get ripped off by the great university scam. Don't waste your time studying for a pointless degree at a mediocre university. If you want to work hard, if you want to move forward, earn a wage and have opportunities in your life, take up and look for apprentices. And a Reform UK government will ensure that those opportunities exist. Your success is our country's success. We're on your side. And when I said I wanted a skills revolution, I meant it. Thank you.